Any second now. And Ace didn't have no Wi-Fi issues or anything like that coming on here. I'm so happy.
Good night.
Yes, sir. What's going on, folks? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Running Gun Podcast. I'm Jay Peeps. That's Ace.
I'm Ace.
And tonight we have a special guest with us. Please welcome FAMU's offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, Coach Joseph Henry, to the show. So what's going on, Coach? How we doing this evening?
Doing great. Ready for this turkey tomorrow.
Yes. But smoke mine tomorrow morning and just let it go for about 3-4 hours. By the time the Cowboys get around, we'll be
like
ready
clockwork.
That's how you do it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, as always, we're going to recap the Florida Classic and stuff, but the first thing we're going to do is like after the intro, we're going to jump into it and, ask Coach Henry some questions and everything such as that. So, at Coach Henry's discretion, if he wants the comment section to be open for questions for him, that's up to him. If he doesn't, that's fine too. So, but Coach, whatever your preference is, we're willing to work with you.
Let it ride. We're live. Let's let it roll. See what happens.
All right. Awesome.
Living on the edge tonight.
We got good comments. Don't worry about it. Our comment section is always be lively, and they just keep it clean most of the time, so we're good.
All right.
Yeah, definitely. So, folks, as always, make sure that you leave a comment, as we stated earlier, just a few seconds ago. And as always, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel because it's going to be a good one tonight. So as it goes, no pregame breakdown for FAMU this week because there's no game this week, unfortunately. But leading up to the SWAC championship, there will be a breakdown again for FAMU and Prairie View. So be on the lookout for that. There will be no post-game recap, though, next weekend. But with all that being said, Coach, we're going to go ahead and roll this intro, and then we're going to jump right into it. So don't go anywhere. Get comfortable, folks. Let's go. Realized that I rolled the wrong intro.
Mm-hmm.
That's my fault. I'm already thinking a week ahead, but it's okay.
Yeah, we know.
It's all good. So first things first, we can just go ahead and jump right into the question. So I'll go first with my question. If anybody else has any questions in the comment section on YouTube, by all means, jump right in and ask away. So I asked you this off camera, Coach, but I guess I'll just rebuttal it and ask you again. So, what is the biggest difference you've seen between the SEC style of play and the style of play? Because I know you were in the MEAC in 2018. So, like, the style of play between the MEAC and the SWAC versus the SEC.
Yeah, that's right. I think the closer to the ball that you get, the bigger disparity there is between FCS and FBS, or specifically Power 5 teams. We're fortunate enough to have some Power 5 transfers on our team in the trenches, and those guys stick out. Their size, their play strength, balance, and body control. But I told you earlier, I think we could jump in a 7-on-7 match with just about anybody and hold our own. But you add those interior guys in, and that's where the big disparity is. That's where the big difference is. There are, it's kind of like pickup basketball. You got a bunch of guys running around all over America that can run and throw and jump and catch and spin and make guys miss, but the number of guys that you have that are 6'4", 6'5 plus, 315 that can bend and move. And, guy just didn't make a whole bunch of those. So they obviously start at the top, and everything trickles down from there. But that would be the biggest difference as far as personnel goes. The atmosphere at Bragg is, I really do believe, is second to none. It's unique, it's special in its own way. There's a lot more at stake in those bigger games, especially now you got all the sports betting, and you got Vegas in the mix, and there's a lot more higher stakes. Doesn't necessarily mean the scheme is any better. Doesn't necessarily mean that the games don't matter as much to those players. Like, you're going to have guys play just as hard on this level as you do at the Power 5 level.
Right.
But everything is magnified, and everything's under a microscope once you step up to those bigger levels, and so everything's scrutinized quite a bit more heavily as well. So don't miss the protection.
I hear that. Ace, you got a question?
Yeah. So you were at LSU, right? So did you have Coach O or Brian Kelly?
I was Coach O's last year in 2021.
All right, cool. So when you compare the coaching styles of Coach O and then what Coach Simmons here in FAMU, like, how much difference do you think it is in terms of like having to keep guys like going in the SEC to where they have like NIL deals nowadays to now in HBCU football where you're not getting that kind of thing from players, but they also go more hungry in HBCU football compared to like SEC?
Yeah, so I want to give both of them credit. They are both 100% authentic, and that is, Ed Orgeron is exactly who you see on those post game or halftime interviews, or who you see in the pregame press conferences. Like, that's who he is every day. And Coach Simmons is the exact same way. Now their personalities are pretty different, but when Coach Simmons got hired, he got hired to be who he is and to motivate players in his own way. And so both those guys are really true to their self, true to their personality. And so I got a lot of respect for both of them, if for no other reason than that alone. I think it's a misnomer. Obviously NIL is the next frontier. It is, it's going to start separating the men from the boys, and you'll start to see the cream rise to the top. And everything has a trickle down effect. But I tell you what, Coach Simmons, in my opinion, has done a great job of leveraging the resources that we have, being proactive in advocating for our players and supporting them, giving them the confidence to go seek out those opportunities on their own, to be able to project their brand and to benefit and to profit off of their likeness, who they are as a person, and their name. And he also, not only does he give them the freedom and the opportunity to go seek that on their own, but he's been very aggressive, very, very proactive in bringing in and securing some opportunities for those guys as well.
We got a question from one of your former players, Orlando, who is currently the DB coach at Albany State.
State, that's right.
There we go.
Coach O. Favorite FAMU memory is right now is the 2018 victory at North Carolina A&T. There was a lot of that. That might be the victory that I'm most proud of in my career. The circumstances surrounding that week, Hurricane Michael had set in. There was no power in the vast majority of Tallahassee. We got on a bus. Well, before that, during the week, we just had to find opportunities to kind of pseudo practice, mock practice, so to speak. We weren't able, with all the rain and winds and everything that was going on, power being out, like, we weren't able to get out and have a traditional practice week. We weren't able to go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and travel on Friday. So, most of our players were staying in the rec center, and they ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And, we tried to scrounge up as much as we could for them to make sure they're nourished and hydrated. And, they were really resilient. They were tough. They were gritty. We persevered through that situation, ended up, taking a long bus ride up to A&T, I think we had to go a different route. I think instead of just heading 10 over to 95 north, I think we ended up going through Georgia to avoid some of the flooding areas. And I mean, you talk about adversity. I mean, there was adversity at every turn on that, really for that whole game week. When we left, my family didn't have power. We didn't have a generator. Like we were, my wife and 2 kids at that time were roughing it. And so, as a man, not just a coach, but as a husband and a father and a provider, it really didn't. It's a tough pill to swallow when you got to leave your family, who is not in the best circumstances, to go play. In all honesty, just a game. But our families were really resilient as well. They, everybody said, no, y'all go do this. We support it. Y'all better come back with a win. And so we went. We stayed the night. Got up the next morning. Get to the stadium. There's no power in the locker room. I mean, name something that could have possibly happened, and it went wrong. But just, I think that's a testament to the resilience of young people in general. But man, the FAMU spirit was really strong. And Orlando, you probably remember this like it was yesterday. I mean, I remember specific details about this game, and they'll stick with me for the rest of my life. But man, I was so proud when we kicked that field goal. I think we had 7 seconds left, and we had to kick a little squib kickoff, and I think the defense had a snap or two at the end of the game. But when that clock struck 0 and we ended up winning, I think 19-21 was the final score.
22-21.
22-21. I knew it was within a point or two. It was a low-scoring game. Defense really played well, but that's my favorite FAMU memory up to this point, and arguably one of the top wins that I've ever been associated with as a football coach.
Wow. See, that's crazy. I did not know that all that had happened. I knew like it was like just battling adversity with a hurricane and stuff, but I did not know that. That's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Those guys stuck together, and they made up their mind early that, hey, we're going to win this thing. And that's a hostile away environment to play in. Their crowd was rowdy, and they had a good attendance, and just given the circumstances, we didn't have a ton of people that had traveled there. And so, it'd be one thing to do it at home, but just to do it on the road as well, behind enemy lines, that was kind of a badge of honor from that game. Favorite memory.
Yeah, I was gonna say I wish you could have been at the 2019 game, because that was wild too.
Yeah.
That was insane. So my next one is more so going back to your college days. What was it like playing against that 2006 Florida team?
They were good. They were really good. So we played them in the SEC championship game that year. Mm-hmm. It was kind of Tim Tebow's coming out party, so to speak. He hadn't really played a whole bunch. They threw him in there some situational snaps. Chris Leak was the quarterback. He was obviously a dynamic quarterback, great passer, had good wheels. I mean, their defense was stacked. They're a good team. We went in there. So we played them in 2006 in the SEC championship game, and then also played them in 2009. We went down to the Swamp and went toe-to-toe with them. Didn't end up coming out victorious. But we had to fight a lot of adversity that game too. But got some great memories from battling with Florida back in the day.
Nice. Ace?
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to stick on this adversity thing, but I don't want to be too depressing. So last year with the whole ineligibility fiasco as a team with FAMU, going up to North Carolina, how did the coaching staff have to handle that? And what were your thoughts on how the team responded to it and played pretty well for what was going on?
Yeah, no, they absolutely did. I thought they played lights out, considering all the circumstances. Did we win? No. But did we build confidence off that game? We absolutely did. It's important that as a coaching staff, anytime we deliver a message, that we're all unified. And football is a little different than most of your other sports. Basketball, you got a head coach. You usually have a couple assistants, maybe a director of ops that does some coaching as well. But everything's a little bit, it is smaller to scale. So when you got 10 football coaches and you got a couple GAs, you have to be really particular, and you have to make sure that everybody's message is the same. And so, Coach Simmons, that's a top-down thing. It starts at the top and it trickles down. He set the tone and he set the message, and we all echoed that, and we just echoed the same thing that he said, and it spread throughout the team. But that is, when we made up our mind that we were going to play the game, because it was in limbo there for a little while, the players said, you know what, let's do this. It's what we came here to do. There are some things, and what a testament to a life lesson it is. There are things that happen outside of your control on a daily basis. And it's not so important as what happens to you. It's really important how you respond to that. And so, that was a big message that we talked to our players. Like, you get to choose how you respond. You get to choose how you look at this. There were a lot of guys that, because of the circumstances and the fact that we had players that were not yet certified, a lot of guys were asked to step up that, maybe they didn't envision being a starter that first game of the season, or, maybe when they signed at FAMU, they didn't realize that, within a year or two, they were going to be starting against an ACC opponent in an away game. So on national television, mind you. Jeremy Musa had a really strong performance that game. That was his first game to start as a Rattler. It was fun. Looking back on it, just everything, you got to look at as a challenge. And, there were plenty of challenges the couple days leading up to that game. And again, similar to the A&T story I told from 2018, I mean, what a testament to the Rattler spirit. The way these guys, man, they make up their mind that they're going to do something, and they get it done. And that's awesome to see. As a 35-year-old coach at the time, like, that's inspiring to me. I feed off of that. That gives me juice. That gives me life. That gives me energy, seeing these guys handle situations with such strength and with such grace, and just their ability to persevere, keep going in the face of adversity, have a strong mind, be mentally tough, and go play as hard as they possibly could. I think we gave them more than they thought they were going to get from us. And really, there was a lot of awareness that was raised over the course of the couple of days leading up to it in that week. And, we're all better for that. So in the end, it ended up, it was kind of a necessary evil, so to speak. But, you never want something like that to happen to you. But when you're able to look around you and see the way that everybody responds to a situation like that, like, I think it builds confidence among the players and among the coaches, and trust and unity to be able to walk through those storms together.
Facts. So now my question is, because I mentioned, I heard Willie Simmons mention it on his coach's show, not this past Monday, but the week prior, Monday going into the Classic. He was talking about, like, finding the right blend of guys to rotate in on downs. So my next question is, like, when you rotate guys, like, do you go based on how the defense presents, or do you go based on what works best for the scheme you want to run offensively, or is it like a little blend of both?
Yeah, it's a little bit of everything. There's it's kind of part art, part science. The science of it is, if you're playing 70 snaps on offense, anytime somebody takes 70 snaps, they're probably going to be better in the earlier snaps than they are the later ones. So if you can, limit a guy to taking 40 or 50 snaps, they'll be better for you in the long haul. Our starter at, if you want to put it in Madden terms, say his endurance, his stamina is down to 67%. Like, is he really better than the guy behind him if he's at 100%, chomping at the bit, waiting to go in? So that's kind of the science part of it. There's part art as well, where, you look at matchups. You pay attention to, as Coach Simmons is a play caller, like, he's, looking at, hey, who's in the game and who do I want to try to get this ball to, or, what does this guy do well? Let's put him in a position to succeed. So there's definitely a big, feel aspect to it as well. So it's kind of a combo platter there, two-piece.
Okay.
So me and JP's talked about this, I want to say last season, where, like, in FCS football, it's harder to run certain, like, zone running schemes So when you guys do run a zone running schemes like on your plays, how do you coach them to know which zones they have to hit and when to have all
Um,
the timing work?
yeah. So for us, zone run is day one install. So when we line up in helmets and underwear for practice one in fall camp, we're running zone runs. And so for our guys, it just turns into second nature. We've been doing it so long and they've taken so many reps at it that, that they don't, I'm a firm believer that less is more, and you give them hey, here's the philosophy. Here's the spirit of the play. This is what we're trying to accomplish here. I don't want to bog the guys down with a bunch of if-then scenarios, right? Hey, if they do this, then we do this. If they do, I think you turn into paralysis by analysis at that point. There comes a point where you got to trust your guys to go do what you brought them here to do, or what they came here to do, and that is, when we're running zone runs, run your track, block what becomes. We all need to work and communicate at some point. You notice a lot of times when a zone run is an easier run when you're in tempo. So sometimes, when you'll see us playing fast, we'll run a zone run because there's minimal communication can happen and you can still be effective. Whereas some runs you'll need a bunch of communication going on, and you got to make sure that all five guys know exactly what's happening. And there can be some confusion on those if you're not able to get the right communication in. But with those zone runs, you can make a one-word call and we'll be rolling. Snap the ball and let's play.
Okay. I like that. That's all
So
I
we
got.
got a little analysis on how to work a play going.
Say it again.
Yeah.
I said we got a little analysis on how you guys run on offense, and like one of those more finer details of how an offense operates.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was good. That was good. So as we transition now to the HBCU part of the show, so one thing I will point out is, yes, as y'all all know, FAMU secured their third straight Florida Classic. First time since 2008 through 2010 that FAMU has done that. So, Coach, congratulations to y'all for doing that. Y'all did something that no team has been able to do in literally quite a long time.
Yeah.
So, and honestly, y'all, and I can honestly tell you right now, I do feel like statistically, and of course, based off of the FCS polls, y'all are better than those teams that came before y'all, even that 2008, 2009, 2010 squads and everything. So the only thing I have from my peanut gallery here in my house is that, it's just run the ball effectively and win next Saturday.
That's right.
That's the only thing that I was told to say. But also too, the Dark Cloud defense was ranked number 1 in the FCS. So I guess my next question is just simply, of course now you guys aren't going toe to toe, but
oh yeah, we are. We always go toe to toe. We always do. Do we practice today? Then we competed.
Oh, okay. Excuse me. I was gonna say who. Let me ask you that: who gets the better of who in practice? I know there's a little bit of bias.
Yeah, of course there's bias. It is. It's a thing. Number 1 defense in the country. That's a big deal. And I tell you what, man, they've got just fantastic players. They got awesome coaches across the board. They get those jokers to play hard. So, for us, like if we fool around and we come out there and we don't match their energy or we don't exceed it, we know it's going to be a long day. But it's the whole iron sharpens iron mentality, and that is they're really good. And so going against those guys every day is only going to make us better. And there are some days where they'll get the best of us, and there are some days where we'll get the best of them. And I can tell you one thing, that we got so many competitors on the team. Like I've heard Coach Simmons say it. He's talked to the team about it. He said it in public. One of the things that we don't have to worry about, like our guys are going to play hard. They love ball and they like to compete and they like to play hard. And you see that spirit come out in practice because, there's no bones about it. It's a zero-sum game. There's winners and there's losers. Everybody knows who won yesterday and everybody knows who lost yesterday. And nobody wants to be that same guy 2 days in a row. if you're on the losing side, excuse me. So it provides a little added incentive. We have competitive periods that are infused throughout practice all week long. And so just to, make sure that you don't lose that edge, make sure that you do keep fueling the fire and keep it burning hot. Because at the end of the day, you got to be ready to do that on Saturday. So if you can do it consistently, Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then there's not a worry. Oh, are they going to do it on Saturday or not? No, it's how we roll. It's how we operate. It's just standard operating procedures at this point.
See, now I'm learning. See, this is the difference between Ace. This is the difference between like high school ball and college ball.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
The good teams and the not so good teams is what Coach Henry is saying. And this is what you like to hear, because honestly, my thought process was like a little bit of the NFL where it's like guys are just like jogging, going through the motions and stuff, trying to like, you don't want to hurt each other. But I hear this, and this is stuff that I've only ever heard. Like, I don't want to toot y'all's horn. Well, I guess I can't toot y'all's horn, but it's like I've only heard this before at the University of Georgia before, where Georgia's like best on best every day, all the time. Let's go get it. Like this, and that wins championships.
We opened up practice today with a 5-minute team run period, 10 reps, good on good, full pads. Let's go.
These
guys compete, man.
guns blazing next week.
You know how many negative words, how many cross words, how many were that you could hear when the guys figured out they had team run? None.
Zero.
They know that's what it is. Coach Simmons put it on there for a reason. Let's go.
I like that. That's what I like to hear, man. That's good. And it comes to fruition when you have games like the Florida Classic this past weekend, where, of course, FAMU came out with the win 24-7. Should have been a shutout, but SWAC refs are SWAC refs. Can't say too much. But, in testament to the offensive line with this number, 325 yards of total offense, 150 passing, could have been a little bit more. Greater emphasis on the run, I felt. 175 yards rushing. Time of possession, 29 minutes and 28 seconds. I was overall impressed. I liked what I saw. I saw too many guys slipping, but I mean, I was still impressed.
Yeah, we got to do a better job of getting used to a neutral site surface. Our guys had an opportunity to go out there early, and that's the time when they got to figure out, because no two fields play the exact same, and so you got to put enough energy and effort out in pregame so that you got a good feel for it. Yeah, we slipped quite a bit. We'll be really familiar with the next surface that we have, so that shouldn't be an issue. But yeah, that's definitely something that we need to make sure that we take with us moving forward. Coach Simmons says all the time that anytime you're in adverse conditions, whether it be rain, a different field, a different turf type, whether it's grass or artificial, if it's cold, if it's really hot, anytime you got adverse conditions, it just gives you an opportunity. It reveals your fundamentals. So, we had some fundamental issues there with our footing. Something that can't be cleaned. It's not something that can't be cleaned up, over this week and next week's practice.
Right. And then
I got two questions on that. When
Yeah,
we
what's up?
finish that, I got two questions on that. So I know, like, when Sean Payne was the coach for the Saints, whenever he plays on a grass football, like a soccer field that they use for football games, like how Camping World Stadium is, he would always make sure guys use the metal plated cleats,
Yep.
so they don't slip as much. So I was wondering if Coach Simmons had a similar sentiment after, or even yourself had a similar sentiment when the guys were slipping so much this last week, to keep them ready to go for whenever they have to go on a surface, like how you were alluding to earlier.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it goes down to, so our equipment manager, Donald Reed, does a great job with the guys. They're as well outfitted as any other FCS program in the country. And he does a good job with providing them options for different cleat types, different, molded bottom, screw in bottom, there's all sorts of different options that those guys have. And, when you see somebody slip, your initial reaction is, you call them over, hey, is it, you need some new cleats? Like, is that the issue? And every time it's, no, my foot was outside of my frame, or I planted off the wrong foot, or my pad level was too high. Like, they're all fixable issues. So we just got to make sure that we address those fundamentals throughout the week of practice, so that those same problems don't happen on Saturday.
Okay, and like you're playing Prairie View again for the SWAC championship. So you guys look back on the film that you played them earlier, or you say they're not going to do the same things again, or you just kind of pull bits and pieces of it
Well, I
when you
think we
game
try.
plan?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you try to put yourself in their shoes, and that is, I know this for a fact. One of the hardest things to do in any sport is to beat the same team twice. They're going to have a great feel for us. Like, this is not something, and we've already had these conversations with our guys. Like, you hear the old, oh, it's 0-0 at halftime. Like, that's exactly what it is. Like, we don't get a bonus point for winning last time. Like, we're back to square one. So we have to approach this game with a renewed respect, a renewed sense of, understanding for, hey, this is a great opponent. These guys won the West in a division that was very, very heavily contested. I mean, up to 4 days ago, there were 3 teams that could have won it, and it was a toss up as to, you're looking at all these scenarios. Well, if they win and they lose and they get to go, and if both these guys lose and we got to wait to the Bayou Classic and then figure out what happens to, like, I mean, tough division, respectable opponents, great football being played over there. So it's not like this whole, oh yeah, we beat them once the first time, we're going to beat them the second time. That spirit has to be as far away from our building as it could possibly be. I got so much respect for Coach Bo McDowell. The job, I got to work with him. I consider him a good coach and buddy. I have a lot of respect for the job that he's done there. Enjoyed the time that we got to spend with each other. You talk about a stand-up man. He understands and played the game at a high level for a long time. Had a lot of success doing that. He knows what it looks like. Good motivator, gets his guys going. So you better believe we're going to get the best that Prairie View has to offer. And so we have to prepare with that in mind. Ace, back to answer your question, I think we got to, be smart in how we prepare. There are, you get 2 weeks to prepare. And as a coach, you don't want to drop all these plays. Oh, we could do this against them. We could do this against them. We could do this against them. Back to when we were, the same comment I made when we were talking about the zone scheme runs. You don't want to have so much that it turns into paralysis by analysis. Oh, well, all these plays look really good on the board, and then you get into the game and you're like, wait, what was the name of that one again? And where was I supposed to line up? Like, we can't have any of that. So we got to do a good job of being creative, but also, sticking with what we do well. But man, what a great opportunity for Prairie View. What a great opportunity for us. Respectable, strong opponent. Just looking forward to getting after them again, and the new challenge that will be here on December 2nd.
True. Yeah, I was gonna say it will definitely be different because the environment, but it's just Mother Nature in general will be different. Homecoming, It was warm, and then you have this game. It's going to probably potentially be low 40s potentially.
Right.
So that's another thing that you got to consider is like, you feel it. Well, Coach, you played in Arkansas, obviously. We're not so used to that here in like Central South Florida. Like,
hey, my blood's thinned out a little bit too since I've been here.
Yeah, you feel those hits more when you play like in cold weather and everything.
No question. Ball's a little harder, hits a little harder, ground's a little harder.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Exactly. So it's like,
hey, playoff football. It's what we all play for.
Bingo. Very, very true. Very true. Also, too, so a little something good happened as well. We were kind of anticipating that it would be NC Central in the Celebration Bowl, but unfortunately, factors at play. Howard did their thing and everything like that. So Howard would be in the Celebration Bowl. NC Central off to the FCS playoffs to play Richmond. Right. So, I wanted to get your thoughts on just, both ends of that spectrum with NC Central going to the FCS playoffs and then Howard being the team, I don't want to look ahead, but being the team that potentially you will see in the Celebration Bowl in Atlanta. I know we have to take care of business first next week, but
yeah, no question. And I tell you what, so Central's in the spot that we were hoping to be in last year, and that is that, Jackson beat us week 1 of the season. And from that point on, we were not able to be in the driver's seat. There was nothing that we could do to control our destiny. So we had to try to make the best case that we could for ourselves. Had to put the best resume together, and call it what you want, like it, hate it, right, wrong, or indifferent. They didn't. The selection committee didn't feel like we made the cut. So and I know what type of team we had last year. I know what type of players we had. I know the schedule that we played. And so the fact that Central was able to be selected as one of those FCS playoff teams, like, man, hats off to them. I think that speaks to the strength of the team. I think that speaks to the confidence that the selection committee has in those guys. You know, we got selected in 2021. I wasn't here, but from, you know, having a relationship with all the coaches that were here and staying in touch, and, you know, going back and watching all the film once I did get here in early 2022, like, that was a strong team we had in 2021, just like we did in 22 when we didn't make it. And so you know, you're able to kind of use that as a measuring stick for, well, man, this Central team, like, there's something serious. You know, obviously they were playing really good ball and just ran into a roadblock, you know, they stumbled at the one opportunity where they couldn't have afforded to do that. But I'm excited. I'm eager to follow them and, you know, see how the game against Richmond goes. And so, you know, it just, hats off to those guys. A lot of respect. They were able to do something that we were, you know, we had our sights set on last year and we just fell short of it. I'll keep it 100% with you. And this is not coach speak. This is not, I mean, this is how I live my life. 100% focus on Prairie View A&M right now. I know that we're playing Howard. I ain't watched one snap. I haven't looked at one stat. That game will get here if it gets here, when it gets here. You know, my focus is solely on, you know, taking care of business on December 2nd and making sure that we secure that, so that gives us the opportunity. You know, 2 weeks to prepare for this game. What a blessing that is. You know, I actually reached out to Coach Black earlier this week, and, you know, we talked about, because being in the NFL, they play all their divisional opponents twice. This is the first time in my career I've ever played the same team twice in a season. So there's a little different dynamic, and, you know, I wanted to be able to lean on his expertise and kind of see what type of ideas he had. You know, I've talked to some other buddies who have been in similar situations as far as playing a team multiple times in the same season. But there's, you know, it's cool because you got 2 weeks, and so, you know, it gives you an opportunity to, you know, really be patient, take your time. You kind of have a normal game week routine every Sunday. It's like 51st dates. Every Sunday is like every other Sunday in the season. Every Monday is like every other Monday. And so you got to watch these certain cut-ups, and, you know, you get to a point where, all right, you know, we got these good ideas. We got to trim it down. We got to make a decision, and we got to move on, because we got to get past this goal line cut up so we can go look at third down and short. And then once we get the third down and short done, then we got to transition and go into our green zone plan. And so, you know, you can't spend forever on any one area, because you'll run out of time, and you'll end up not having a game plan for some of the situations that you'll need to cover. Well, with 2 weeks to prepare, you're able to slow it down a little bit more, and, you know, maybe explore some other options, or it's a different dynamic that I've never had before. So it's cool. I'm learning as I'm going to. But it's nice to have that time just to be able to let everything marinate a little bit, and you got some more time to think about it, instead of just, you know, being so structured and rigid on when you got it. I mean, you're going to we practice on Tuesday morning that we're going to be on the field at 6:30 a.m. And if you don't have a game plan, then you can't run a play in that situation. So, you know, there are certain deadlines that you got to make sure you meet during the regular season. Whereas now that we're in the postseason, we got 2 weeks, everything's slowed down just a little bit. So that's kind of a cool aspect that I guess I had never really thought of before until we got to this week that we've been in right now. And I'm like, hey, I don't have to be so rushed. It doesn't have to be so helter skelter.
Right. Nice. Yeah, no, I understand that. I fully understand that. Ace, you got anything before we do move on?
Nah, man, Coach nailed a lot of nails on the head. I feel like he's got everything going on right now. Some really good, how do I say this, insight on how it all goes down. If I had to ask one question, I'd say, like, if you could give us some insight on what Coach Black said, because he literally just went and beat Seattle twice already this season with the Rams. So I just want to see if, like, you could just, like, maybe give us a little tease of what he said.
Yeah,
on
well,
how to?
he talked about the importance of that first game, and it was kind of what I was talking to you guys about. Like we got to make sure that we're we watched that game. We spent a lot of time. I mean, I know that thing at this point like the back of my hand. I've probably watched it 5 or 6 times through. For them, the situation was a little different because I think they played Seattle week 1, and then they played them again. I guess it's about week 9 or 10 now for them. So there was a bigger lapse of time in between the first game and the second game. For us, Prairie was 3 games ago, or there were 3 opponents, I guess, between our previous game and this one. So they're a much similar team to as far as personnel, like no major injuries. We're going to see the same guys out there. Where he talked about the Seattle team that they played was pretty different. They had a bunch of different personnel, and so that was one different. So it was it was good to talk with him. We've coached together since 2015 on and off, and he's one of my good buddies. And so just aside from that, catching up with family and seeing how everybody's doing, but we had a good conversation about that.
Definitely, always the best relationship is always that QB center relationship. I mean, I know you probably didn't play center, but you played offensive line. QB offensive line relationship is always the best.
No question. No question.
All right, so Coach, we got 2 more questions for you before we move on to the NFL. So, who's going to win Turkey Day Classic, Tuskegee and Alabama State? Who's going to win the Bayou Classic?
All right, Turkey Day Classic. I gotta keep it in the swag. I'm gonna go Alabama State.
Okay.
I know that's a big game for both of those programs. I know the importance that they put on that. That's their big classic. It's an in-state rivalry. Those guys are not far from each other. That is probably similar to the Florida Classic, where a lot of them either played with each other in high school or played against each other. They've gone to the same camp circuit, played on the same 7-on-7 teams, like 2 teams that probably couldn't be more familiar with each other than any other team in the country. Put me on the spot. Bayou Classic. Yeah, I'm gonna say Graham's gonna have the upper hand in that one. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but we'll see what happens.
No,
Something going on in Southern, so I wouldn't rule it out.
Because honestly, for me, I'm probably gonna flip a coin to be real with you.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Eesh, this toss up.
Yeah, because for once, I'm like, I don't know who's gonna win that game this year. But now as we transition to the NFL,
Well, before we transition, let me do this real fast. I want to give a major shout out to Jeremy Musa for making the Walter Payton national finalist watch list. Isaiah Major making the Buck Buchanan finalist watch list, and then Coach Simmons as well for the Eddie Robinson finalist list. So yes. I tell you what, man, it's cool. I talked earlier about the guys that you work with inspiring you and rubbing off on you. You spend so much time with these guys. Like, it's so cool to see all the hard work that those guys have put in and to see it pay off. It not just good football players, good young men, good leaders. Both those guys were voted captains, permanent captains for us recently. You see them wear the C on their jerseys now. Like, man, it's so cool to be with those guys, work with them on a daily basis, just watch them compete against each other. And then for them to, get the recognition that all 3 of those guys deserve. So I didn't want that to go without mention. Really proud of all of them, and it's cool to be able to work alongside all of them and, see those dreams unfold and see it manifest itself like that.
Very true. Very true. No, I'm rooting for all of them to win their respective awards.
No question.
I think all of them deserve their respective awards. Definitely Coach Simmons, the work he's done, Musa as well, for the amount of, honestly, in my opinion, the amount of criticism he's taken and then answering the bell time and time again.
No question.
Yeah, and then Isaiah Major, who is the alpha on that defense, as I've said multiple times. I think definitely they definitely deserve it. They definitely do. So with that being said, Coach, I'm gonna put you on the spot again.
All right.
Who's Coach Henry a fan of in the NFL? We've asked everyone this. Like we know the March 100 announcer Joe Bullitt's a Saints fan. We know, I believe
Poor
Coach
soul.
Simmons, according to Coach Black, is a fan of anybody who played at Clemson or at FAMU that is in the NFL.
That's right.
AD Gaucher at the time was saying that he is a Saints fan. So who is Coach Henry a fan of?
Man,
Listen,
I'll
I'm
be
from Little.
disrespectful.
What's that, Ace?
No. You can go. JP's know what I'm thinking.
I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Okay.
Ain't no NFL team there. So I grew up obviously watching the Razorbacks. My dad played there, and then I had the opportunity to play there. So they were the college, the NFL team. Like there wasn't anything else in Arkansas. I enjoy just watching. I like to follow, I guess, the trends, right? So I've been watching a bunch of Miami Dolphins this year, and that was before they had their gaudy offensive game. But I like to study those guys. I feel like they're creative. I feel like they're on the cutting edge. They do some things as far as creating matchups. They run the ball really effectively, and they're creative in the ways that they do that. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is dynamic, as is Jalen Waddle, and the way that they create matchups and get those guys the ball, get them in space, hide them, take the press coverage off, confuse the defense with matchups. I think they do a really good job of game planning. So I enjoy watching those guys, and I've spent a good bit of time studying them through the season. On my lunch breaks, I usually have some type of leftovers, and I sit at my desk, and instead of going to take a traditional longer lunch breaks, a lot of times I'll just sit and pull up a Miami game and start tagging some ideas that I like, or find a play that looks good. A handful of guys that I've coached. Ed Ingram's a starting guard for the Minnesota Vikings. Enjoy watching him. I think they played on Monday night a few weeks ago, and so I actually got to sit down and with my 7-year-old forward, and we watched Ed. Like we didn't watch the football game, we watched Ed. Austin Deckles is a tackle that I've coached, and he's just recently got traded from the Houston Texans to the New York Jets. Chasen Hines is another offensive lineman. He plays for the Miami Dolphins. He got drafted by the Patriots a couple years ago. Anthony Bradford's a guard that played for us at LSU. He's with the Seattle Seahawks now. Kadero Hodge played for us at Prairie View, and he's with the Falcons. Obviously, all of our FAMU guys, I follow those guys real closely, and you see all their stuff on social media, and you try to keep up with them as best you can, and they're all making waves and doing good things, so it makes it easy too. Coach Black, obviously a good personal friend, so I keep up with the Rams for him, and they're doing some really good stuff offensively as well. So there ain't a team that I follow. I like staying in touch with and following all the guys that I've coached and that I have personal relationships with. Ricky Stromberg was our center at Arkansas. He got drafted by the Redskins. The Commanders. Sorry.
You're good.
You're fine.
Sorry about that.
We aren't picky on that. We make that mistake too. Don't worry.
He got drafted by the Commanders, and so he's playing out there in Washington D.C. So, I don't have a team. I didn't grow up a fan of anybody. So I'm huge. I'm a big relationships guy. So people that I know, people that I have a vested interest in, people that I've, personally touched and had contact with, and those are guys that I like to follow and keep up with.
I like that. I respect that. That's cool. That's cool. Cause I was thinking to myself, I was like maybe he's a Saints fan too, but that's even better. The relationships, because that is what it's about at the end of the day and everything, such as that.
Yeah.
That's cool. So, and then the other thing too is definitely it's like the Dolphins have Black Friday all to themselves. 3 o'clock.
That's right.
Oh yeah, they got that game.
Yeah, I'll be able to sit probably watching and enjoy that one on TV, and then probably sometime next week.
That should be a bloodbath.
Yeah, probably will be.
Tim Boyle versus Tua. I wonder who's gonna win that.
Yeah.
Watch it be Tim Boyle because I said that.
Yeah, you gonna jinx him.
Yeah. Well, I like
hey, if Garrett Wilson goes off for my fantasy team, I don't care.
Yeah.
I do like the matchup between the Dolphins wide receivers going up against the Jets secondary. So that'll be good. That'll be good to watch, obviously. And then the whole protect. That's my thing I wanted to ask. So your thoughts on this whole thing, with like especially what Tua's gone through between last year and this year, like as far as his protection up front. What are your thoughts on that?
The NFL is a quarterback-driven league. That I think that has to be, and college is getting that way as well. Obviously Moose is our starter. He's our captain. I mean, we got to do everything in our power to keep him upright.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. That is, and we're very particular, we're very intentional about our protection plan every week. We spend a good amount of time as a coaching staff, as an offensive line unit, just making sure that we are very thorough in going through and hey, this is exactly what we're going to do. Here's the communication for it. When they do this, this is where you do get a bunch of those if-then scenarios. And that's where your center's got to be great, because he's got to be able to identify these looks. He's got to make, it could be personnel. He could be safety rotation. It could be linebacker alignment. It could be front presentation. Last week against Bethune, they had a look that they gave on third downs, and they had done it 20 times that season. And 14 of the times they gave one look, and then 5 of the times they gave another look, and there was one time that they gave this look that would have given our protection problems. And so we had to come up with an answer for that. And so it just, that to me, that's one of my favorite parts of coaching the offensive line is these challenges that you get each week. And that is, what does this team do? Who is a threat in pass rush? How are they trying to attack our protection? Sometimes people just line up and they say, you know what, our guys are better than yours. We're just going to straight rush you. Sometimes they do it with line games. Sometimes they try to overload your protection with blitzes and pressures, and sometimes they try to do it by disguising. And so, just to figure out, identify that, hey, this is what they're doing, and then this is going to be our plan to, make sure that we're staying upright, we keep a clean pocket, and we're able to give the quarterback plenty of time and space to be able to deliver the ball and the money like we know he does so well. It's probably more than you wanted to know.
Oh no,
that's
that was perfect. The other thing too is, so I know Ace is probably a little bit hurt about this, but Michael Thomas got sent to IR, unfortunately.
Yeah, he doesn't have to suffer through any more hospital balls.
Coach, it's every week with him. It's every week. He has this thing with Dennis Allen, and then he got this thing with
I'm a
Derek
Saints fan, so I'm going through it this year.
Yeah. You're really a Saints fan if you stick through them through thick and thin.
The crazy thing is, they're leading the division, right? Yeah. The season today, they would be in the playoffs hosting a playoff game. And
them being in the playoffs is the worst thing that could happen.
And I'm just
team has no business in the playoffs.
I'm like, come on, like you got to be happy about this. Like,
if they make the playoffs, you're stuck with mediocrity for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Look, I'm from Tampa. I get it. Brady's gone. We got Baker right now. Yeah. But it's like, I'm going to still be happy if Baker leads this team to the playoffs. If somehow we fight our way out of second place and get back to, leading the division, it's like, I'm gonna still be happy. So I don't know what he's going through.
It's obviously something. We need to find somebody you can talk to about this.
Yes.
Nah, I'll be real. I'm a person who doesn't like to settle for mediocrity. Yeah. And I feel like if they made it, then you're going to be settling for mediocrity because I'll be keeping Allen for a while.
Yeah. You talk about mediocrity. So it may have been 5, 8, 6, I don't know how many, a few years ago. My wife had a fantasy team, and there was, y'all have heard of the Madden curse, right? You're on the cover of Madden and something bad happens to you that year. Well, we had the grace curse going on for a little while. My wife, whoever her quarterback was, it was like 5 weeks straight. He would go down, and she'd pick up somebody else or trade for somebody else next week, down. Next week, down. I mean, I don't know how it happened, but it was pretty unfortunate. So I don't think you had that bad of luck, Ace. But, you got to keep your eyes on brighter days.
Wow.
That's terrible.
This is our our resident comment troll, our good friend Drunk. That's your back.
I'm just like,
Nah, Drunk. This is a much better offensive coordinator. Don't worry about it.
yeah, he's a lot better.
He got some extra time right now.
He's got some extras. Wow. Wait, so hold up. I'm trying to wait. So who did she? What you said 4 some years ago? She had 4 quarterbacks all got hurt.
Yeah.
Who all did she have?
I don't even remember. It was
4 years. That was what, 2019?
It may have been longer ago than that. I don't. Time flies by. But I know for a fact it was like 5 weeks in a row. I'll have to figure out and get back with you guys. There were a couple of running backs she knocked out too.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Tell her don't feel bad.
Yeah, so she don't play fantasy anymore.
It's all good. See, I understand. It's okay because I had Nick Chubb early in the year, and now he's gone. But I will say, I swindled somebody one year, and this is how I won my fantasy league. I swindled somebody into trading. I traded Matt Ryan for Tom Brady, and I already had Patrick Mahomes on my team as well. So I was sitting pretty with 2 guys and going into the playoffs, and someone was like, why would you trade that to him? And I'm like, hey. I mean,
well, this is going to be the first year J Peeps is, because I joined 2 years ago. I've beat him in just fantasy like every year I've been here. This is going to be the first year, unless my team pulls a rabbit out of the hat. Because I'm only a game behind him, but I'm second to last place. That's how tight the conference, the league
How
is.
about that? Yeah.
So I'm just sitting right there, and I'm like, well, I could either catch you, or this is gonna be your first year. You're gonna be able to beat me, and we're playing against each other this week too.
we are.
And I already beat him week 1.
We are.
Hey, hardest thing to do is beat the same guy twice.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier.
I did not know. See, I didn't know this. I did not know this. But all right, let's go ahead and transition now to a little bit of college ball. It's rivalry week. So as we know, this is the one thing that I do miss about like the traditional conference buildup is I miss how it used to be Arkansas and LSU at the end of the season.
Yeah, Arkansas fans miss that too.
I'm sure because it used to be for the Golden Boot, right?
That's right. Yep. That thing is heavy, by the way.
Is it really? It's gold, isn't it?
It's. I don't know if it's solid gold, but it is heavy.
That's one game I do miss being played at the end of the year. So I'm trying because I know LSU plays Texas A&M now.
That's right. Yep. So that's a big game for LSU and A&M. Both those, having been there, like that's a heavily contested. Throw the records out the windows. That's a big time game for both those programs. And then looking at it right here, as I pull it up, Arkansas plays Missouri. That's right.
Friday
Which is
night.
another trophy.
Is it?
Yeah.
What trophy is that for?
It is the Battle Line Trophy. It's kind of similar to the Boot Trophy, the Golden Boot, but it's got the state of Missouri on top of the state of Arkansas, so they play for that every year.
Okay, I did not know that.
No.
So right now you got Missouri favored by 9, but I know, Coach, your Hogs gonna pull off the upset.
Hey, pulling for them. Hope they get it.
Very true.
Oh, that's right. Drunks from Missouri. He's
where in Missouri? He's on one tonight. Where in Missouri? Oh, St. Louis.
St. Louis.
I got you.
I know he's a Blues fan, so that's why I assume it's St. Louis. But yeah, it's like Missouri. I mean, look, KJ Jefferson. This is what his last game in Arkansas.
Yep.
I think he goes out with a bang.
I will say I was very impressed with him. I watched him a couple years ago in the Outback Bowl when they came down here and played.
Yeah, down to Tampa. That's right. They played Penn State.
I was very impressed with like just his physique and his size and everything. He's
a massive man.
Yes. And then I met them in Atlanta. I think it was that same year, 2021, because they were staying at the same hotel as that I was staying at the time, because they were going to play Georgia like the next day. And I was
got you. Yeah.
Like they say Hogs, I'm like, these are big boys.
that's one of Coach Pittman's hallmarks. Is he gonna keep him with a big offensive line?
Very, very true. I was like, golly, I ain't never seen a team that big in my life. I was like, if they that big, imagine how big Alabama must be.
Yeah. And therein lies your difference between FCS programs and Power 5 ones.
Very true. And then the other thing too is, Michigan's going into battle this weekend without Jim Harbaugh. One thing, no rivalry like the Iron Bowl. Hey,
that's my all regret wife.
She's right though. She's right. I break it to her, but I don't think Auburn's gonna win it this year. I hate to break it to her.
Throw the records out the windows. Crazier things have happened.
That's very true.
Ain't that true? I mean, one where I don't think records get thrown out is Michigan, Ohio State. I mean, kind of waiting for Michigan to expose Cal McCord. I've been waiting for it all year.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I don't know if that's happening with all the coaching adversities they've got going on in Michigan, but I'm like, I'll kind of like.
I don't think it's gonna matter. Dude, the game's in Ann Arbor. Michigan still's got they got a good run game. I like their offensive line. And look, man, I think that their secondary is gonna have a plan to stop Marvin Harrison Jr. This is the least excited I've ever been for an Iron Bowl ever. Hey, usually when you least
I don't know about ever, but I think it'll have a good ending.
That's the thing. When you least expect it, the Iron Bowl tends to be pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what I will say. I will say that. But yeah, honestly, I think because it is in Ann Arbor, I think that gives Michigan the edge. And I know you've kept up with, because I know Trey Fisher plays quarterback for y'all. So I know that news probably got to y'all first before anything. So who do you think should be the next head coach at Texas A&M?
Goodness gracious. I don't know. I think obviously they got enough money to try to at least attract whoever they darn well please. So it's going to have to be somebody that can meet the high expectations of their fan base. They see themselves as a national championship contender. I think that they have, from the outside looking in, it seems that they've invested and they've got the resources to be able to compete with, all the nation's top NIL groups. One of the names that I saw, circulating around was Kevin Elko. When I was at LSU in 21, we played A&M last week of the season. He was a defensive coordinator. Just watching the job that he did with that defense, and then to see what he's done at Duke since he's replaced David Cutcliffe, that's an impressive job to me. So I would think between the ties that he has already had, the success he had as a defensive coordinator at A&M, and then the success that he's had as a head coach at Duke, to me that makes him a real contender. I don't know. I feel like this is a bit of an unusual turnover cycle. There's not a bunch of head coaches that have, been fired as of, this point in the season. Whereas, the past couple of years, there were, a bunch of, a bunch more. I think Mike Elko, might be a front runner for my opinion.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. I think it's somebody that we're going to least expect. I think a lot of the national media, like the people on TV right behind me, it's basketball on behind me, but the ESPN folk, they've thrown out, Dion, they've thrown out Mike Norvell, although I don't think Florida State's going to let another coach get away from him again.
Yeah.
And I think they won that divorce between them and Jimbo. I hate to say it like that, but it's like I think that they, in the grand scheme,
is it a divorce or one just walked out and never filed for actual divorce?
I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that because Look, they got a kid related to that man on the team. I'm not gonna touch that. But I will say, they've also thrown out coach for the Lions, Dan Campbell.
Oh, Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, they've mentioned him because I'm sure I think he's a Texas A&M guy. I think it's tough.
I assume you're talking about Coach Henry with
Oh,
this. He says he's gonna win. He's gonna win some games by himself one day.
You obviously never
You
saw
can
him
say-
play if you think that.
Oh, I know Coach Henry. I know Coach Henry was a dog back when he played. I'm sure of it.
Mm-hmm.
Archives to prove otherwise.
But yeah, they've mentioned Dan Campbell. They've mentioned Mike Norvell.
No,
mentioned,
that's not how that first. Neither of those two happening. They can take Dennis Allen if they want Dennis Allen play for them. They can have Dennis Allen.
You just want any chance to get Dennis Allen just to interview somewhere else. You think Dennis Allen's gonna? Well, that is Texas money, so.
Texas money. Hey, what Drunk said here is Texas A&M done money laundering and actually trying to win games.
Look. Hey.
Yeah, but in like seriousness is like I think how we said it's gonna be somebody you least expect probably, and I think it probably will work out for them.
I think it's even when Mike Elko or I think it's Mike Elko or someone like that. Honestly.
Yeah, I'm always curious of what goes on behind the scenes and who's contacted who, and agents are obviously big players in the game. I feel like once they make the decision, once they make the announcements, the facts always start coming back, and you start backtracking. Like the facts come out, and you start backtracking things. And I feel like most people are like, "Why didn't I think of that?" Or that was right there in front of us, but kind of hiding in plain sight sometimes, so to speak.
Yeah. That makes sense. And then sometimes it's one that just comes way out of left field. Oh my gosh, no.
Like that one.
Out of left field, right there.
They'll get a lot of TV exposure.
No question.
They get the national media press and everything that they want. Now, will the wins follow? I don't think so. But, hey.
Where's Cliff Kingsbury these days?
He's the OC at USC behind Lincoln Riley.
Right.
I'm just saying, keep your eye out on him too.
It's not a bad idea.
But then again, there have been like some rumbling saying Lincoln might be gone too, so I don't know. He might just walk right into the USC job.
Hey, who knows? So one other thing too before we do get out of here is favorite Thanksgiving dish. All right, y'all, I'm out because Coach Henry cool. I don't want to mess up this interview. Silly Coach. Take care, Drunk. Have a safe Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Happy Thanksgiving, Drunk. Don't get drunk and get yourself in trouble.
So we always do this every time during the holidays and stuff. So favorite Thanksgiving dish. I'm gonna start with Coach Henry.
I like it all. See, here's the deal. I'm an offensive line coach, and although I'm not 300 plus pounds, I could eat most of my guys under the table. So I'm gonna get a little bit of everything. I can't call a favorite. Anything that comes from my wife's kitchen is.
That's the right answer. Right answer, right there.
That is Ace.
I mean, I feel like I've answered this like 2 years in a row, but I'm not gonna even answer. I think can I just go with his answer? He got the right answer. Anything on the table is good.
Yeah, honestly,
I just do have to cooking anyway, so I can say that for myself.
You got a point. Yeah, anything on the table is practically pretty good. But I will say my favorite.
If it comes from your family, it tastes good. I don't know. I don't know how you guys is for like judging other people's foods, but like generally, if it's from other people, I'm like, I'll take my food over anybody else's any day of the week.
Yeah, you didn't grow up with their food.
Exactly.
I'm gonna hit you with one you guys probably didn't even know was out there. Popeyes holiday turkeys.
Really?
I saw that actually going home from school yesterday. Our last class coming home, I was like,
it is very good.
Make it good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. I already secured one for one for tomorrow, one for Christmas. What I do is I just inject it with some Cajun butter, stuff it with some oranges and lemons, put a little Zatarain's crab oil on it, and then just smoke it for about 3, 4, 5 hours. And then by the time the Cowboys kick off, it's ready. That's
about pretty much the same thing as us, actually. We just do the Cajun butter, inject it in with some like a wine mix with the butter, inject it in, give it all the rub down, stick it in that smoker, leave it there, be done by 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, you good to go, you have food. All set in stone. Yes. So I'm gonna ask Coach Henry, what kind of turkey you guys do?
Usually bacon in the oven.
Okay.
Look, kind of classic tradition.
That's easier to do, actually. Less work to clean up afterward.
Yeah, that's big time right there.
Yeah, it is. Well, yeah. Wait, so who's actually like prepping the turkey? Is it Coach Henry or is it Miss Coach Henry?
We're gonna tag team it.
Okay. I feel that. And then who making the sweet potato pie?
That'll be Mama.
You got me ready to drive 4 hours up north.
Come on. Hey, doors open to you too, JP. So we got so
Coach, bring back a slice of this sweet potato pie for me. I need a good one.
All right.
I was gonna say
Coach Smith's gonna come over, and we got some players coming over too. So we'll open the door to you guys as well.
Don't tempt me. I just
I'll tempt you with a good time, huh?
It's not 11.
All right, I guess actually that kind of answered my next question. I was gonna ask what's the favorite dessert, but since we're already talking about sweet potato pie, I'm assuming that's the answer.
Yeah, sweet potato pie. There'll be an apple pie there. I don't know. I'm not a really big sweets guy, but I ain't gonna pass any of them up on Thanksgiving.
There we go.
If it's there, it's gonna get ate.
If it's on the table, exactly.
I get that. That and some greens, boy. Oh,
that's right,
man. See, that's why I knew I was gonna like Coach Henry because Coach Henry from the South, like he knows about Southern home cooked meal.
Oh yeah.
But folks, that's gonna do it for us this evening. We hope you've enjoyed. Because we're gonna let Coach get back to game prep and Thanksgiving prep and just hang in with the family and stuff. So Coach, we thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me on. This was a blast. We got to do it again sometime.
Oh, definitely. We're always here as always, and I will definitely be in Tallahassee Friday and then throughout the weekend and stuff next week and everything. And then I was hoping to make it to Atlanta, but unfortunately I will not be able to make it to Atlanta, but I will be watching on TV. I know you don't like to look ahead, but we're manifesting this.
There you go. Speaking it into existence.
Yes. So, I'll definitely be watching from afar. Me and Ace, we've always been watching this stuff. I got one alum from back in the 80s that I do call mom in the house. So I will tell you this, we are preparing to drop our Buccaneer season tickets for FAMU season tickets.
How about that?
For next season.
I love.
So definitely, so we're rooting for you, of course. We'll definitely be there this weekend. Ace has one thing.
Yeah, one more thing because we just also have it on Spotify, so you might want to tell the people on Spotify where to find you and help them reach out, if they ever got any extra questions, they want to find you on social media or anything.
Yeah, perfect. On Twitter, I'm at CoachHen501. Okay. On Instagram, I'm Joehen, Joehen 501. And I think those are the two best places.
And there you go. And see, I think this was a really good episode. I think this is one of the better interviews we've had. And not like any of the other ones were bad. It's just I think we had a really good vibe going on this one.
Coach Henry was up there with Coach Lemke, Coach Orlando McKinley, and those three they were all up here. Up also as well with Tiffany Green.
I think it's the coach talk, like when they have the coach speak going on, give those inside breakdown. I think that's what gets the real essence going on these kind of interviews.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been enjoyable.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And as always, folks, no pregame breakdown this weekend because there's no game this weekend, but there will be one either Friday or Saturday. So definitely stay in tune for that and all that fun stuff as well. And also make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and enjoy your Thanksgiving. Good night. Thank you, Coach Henry, as well.
Thank you, Coach.
We will see y'all next week.
Appreciate